Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers. And I greet you today with the love and the honor and the wisdom of the infinite creator for each and every one of you. Now, my subject for today, I've been out working in the garden. My hair's still kind of wet and getting ready, and shirt's a little damp still. But anyway, I'm in my cool down phase after coming out of the garden. And while working in the garden, your hands in the dirt and Mother Nature all around, and seeing some of the seeds that I finally planted that finally came up, and some of my potato plants are, almost 2 foot tall, and seeing how other things are starting to bloom and flower, and now I've had some bad things happen already this spring with some of the spinach getting just taken out, and anyway. But out there in the garden, I'm looking and thinking and praying and meditating, and it came across to me. It's like, well, Hawkeye. I'm looking at the garden and thinking, wow, 2 years ago I had this garden cleaned, and last year something happened. I really don't know. And I've been digging out trees out of the middle of my garden that didn't used to have trees in the middle. So for different reasons. Anyway, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm making progress here in the garden. And I'm thinking to myself, well, if I'm making progress in the garden, I seem to be making progress with, like, for myself, for anger issues and so forth. And it seems like, well, how are things going in the universe? And just, with all the heavy energies that have been hitting us. A couple of days ago, we had a good whiteout session on the Shaman resonance. And, just considering different things. And I was like, well, I've talked about this before, in that when we look at ourselves on the red road, on that path to shamanism, we're all shamans in training somewhere on the red road, somewhere on the path towards enlightenment. That's where we are. And it's not so much that I look around and say, well, I'm better than someone else. That's not it. It's I look around and I think, have I made any progress myself? Am I still sitting? Am I just spinning my feet in the mud? Am I stuck? Am I just standing in the road, looking around going, this is interesting? So one of the things that came across today while I was out there gardening is and was that we need to sit down and take an honest to goodness look within every once in a while to see if we are making progress, or to find out whether or not we're basically just standing still in the middle of the road. And I realized it's like, well, I kind of go down a little checklist. And it's like, well, I can do this a little easier when I'm in tune with certain people and certain entities in space, or my higher self, or whatever you want to call it. It seems like the information that they give me in downloads and things has been pretty accurate for me, at least. And it hasn't been specific per se, but all the warnings and the high energies and how to deal with things, it all seems to still resonates with me. Whereas some other people that I've been listening to for quite a few years, for some reason, it seems like they're stuck. Now, it's not to say that I'm further along, and I hope that I'm not stuck. So I think, well, I need to take a look within myself, within my paradigm, and say, okay, are we making any progress in this, or are we just saying we are and spinning our wheels? I'm meaning myself. So, being that I can't judge anyone else and shouldn't, this all has to stay within me. So, there are different paradigms that I use, like, well, how hard is it for me to go into a meditative state? How hard is it for me to pick up on vibrations, or are there certain things that hit me harder than they used to? For example, am I more aware of certain things, frequencies, for example? I've been talking about this for the last 2 years, and that some of these frequencies that are getting, especially some of us old people, we're just getting hammered. It's just knocking us just right out. And so it's like, so I don't want to compare myself to anyone else, but I do need to look and say, well, Hawkeye, how are you doing? Because it doesn't really matter to anybody else but me. And it shouldn't matter to anyone else but you. Is your frequency right? Are you doing it right? You don't have to prove it to me. You have to prove it to the man. You got to prove it to the universe. You got to increase your own frequency. It's not about being in a race with somebody else. Now, there are many folks that I share in discussions and talks with. Breaking Dawn is in the chat, and hi, Breaking Dawn. And we chat frequently and discuss a lot of things that I don't ever discuss here on YouTube, because it's really some way out stuff that we've had conversations about. Um, However, the bottom line is that we're always looking, not just Breaking Dawn and myself, but all of you and all of us, I would say, those of us who understand, that we are the league of like-minded beings. And so my awareness is one of the first things that pops in. Well, what are you aware of? Well, I'm aware of when things happen now in politics and things. I don't my internal temperature don't go up like it used to. My anger issue, my them crazy bastards, we oughta hang 'em from the yard. I can't go there. So, but I look at the situation now. I'm still paying attention. I'm actually probably watching headlines on more channels than I have ever done before. But in scanning them and taking things apart and watching them, taking things apart mentally, watching different channels, different points of view, where the polls are. I mean, just across the board, from economics and gold and things. And I realized that I'm really paying attention, but it doesn't bother me like it did. Now, is that the awareness that I can take myself out of that emotional state? I say yes, because 2 years ago, I was so emotionally involved with everything that was going on a day-to-day basis, and I just stayed in chaos and turmoil. And, I've been preaching about it now for well over a year and a half. We need to get out of that frame of mind and look towards our own future. We need to look towards the 1,000 years of peace. Are we making progress? And so within myself, and you can look at my videos now, I'm not going to speak about anybody else because it's very inappropriate, but you need to look at your own self and be straight up. I mean, when you have a conversation, don't say, well, I'm going to have a conversation. I am a stranger coming up and asking Hawkeye questions. Okay, Hawkeye, do you get pissed off now when you hear certain things? Well, have a tendency to get up. My response is, I have a tendency to get a little cheesy around the edges, but I don't scream at the video screen anymore. Michelle, howdy, howdy, howdy. Good evening, and blessings to you and all of yours. So I think to myself, okay, self. So my question is to you all: Are you still aware of what's going on? Does it piss you off as bad as it did? Or are you being aware of the fact that, wait a minute, I see what's going on, but I'm going to keep my emotions to myself. I'm going to keep an eye on it. I'm not going to obsess about anything, because obsession becomes possession. I spoke about that in another video. And that little phrase has kind of been going back in my mind. And I've been obsessed over things many times in my lifetime. So I can raise my hand and go, hey, y'all, I'm guilty of this on several occasions. But I can also say now that I don't hanker for that kind of thing anymore. That paradigm does not fit with me. So does that mean that I'm more aware? I'm more aware of a different type of surrounding. I'm more aware of the cosmic energy, where I knew it was up there and I knew it was all around me, but I was so focused on the energies and the things on the planet and in politics and et cetera, nature and so forth, that my emotions stayed tied up too much in the 3D. So that where I needed to really expand not just my mind or awareness, but my whole being, just allow my whole soul to, like, get bigger and stronger, and get these energies from the cosmos, and really and seriously and honest to God, accept them, receive them, and then use the healings. I've been putzing around out in the garden, and some of the work that I've done, I couldn't have done 2 years ago. So I'm standing out in the garden with my arms crossed, sweating and looking at the ground, going, "How am I doing that? How am I doing that this year? Where 2 years ago I didn't have enough strength to. Now where's that coming from? What have I changed? What have I done? I'm accepting more cosmic energy. Is the only in all the things that I've talked about, it's the only real thing that makes sense, because my diet's mostly the same. I've cut out a lot of other sugars and different other things, and I'm a lot cleaner in that respect. And I'm not taking any kind of I'm taking very few pharmaceuticals, but mostly um, ibuprofen. Yes, ibuprofen, aspirin, and Benadryl. Those are my three. That's I take them on a regular basis, but it helps with the pain. It helps um, with my sinus issues and so forth, and a lot of other things. But so I'm not totally off of all drugstore kind of things, but I do take selenium and chromium and lutein, um, L-lysine. I take zinc, magnesium, niacin, um, all the A, B, C, Ds, Z's and X's. Zinc is very important, and I don't take them in a multivitamin. I take vitamins, each one of those types of things, and I mix them up. So my multivitamin is, I've got 50 bottles of different types of okay, 25, but that's probably seriously 25 bottles of different types of vitamins. Nothing expensive. It's just that I've got B6, B1, A, D3, all the way down the line, and some things tossed in there, some herbal remedies, if you will, and that I supplement myself with, like saw palmetto, for us old men with prostrate issues and things like that. But anyway, but my point about my awareness and what's going on, I'm getting healthier somehow, even though the skies are being sprayed. Now, today was a very clear day. I got to knock on wood about that one. Oh, and Bob, to the AI, I love you. Thank you. And here's coffee and a donut. Well, I don't have a donut, but if I had one, I'd share one with you. So in your own realm, in your own life, in your own, what do you do on a day-to-day basis? Have you seen a change in yourself? Now, I'm not asking you to answer me. I'm asking you to answer yourself with and be honest. And remember that it's not about bragging. Thank you, Michelle. Cheers. Yes. Thank you, Michelle. Breathe in your energies. Yep. I did some study years ago on breatharians, and I'm for many of I've discussed the 3 days on the river where I only had like 2 quarts of liquid and a couple of little Debbie cakes. Me and my dog spent 3.5 days actually, but 3 days down on the Ochlockonee River in the middle of August, when it was 103 in the shade. And for so many ways, that I should not have made it off that river. But with understanding that without food or water, the spirits told me everything you have, all the energy and everything you need is all around you. In other words, I could put my hand in the water and be quenched of my thirst if I just allow the water to pass into my body, through my hands and in the water, because the water wasn't drinkable. It was barely running, very low on the river, and no, I wouldn't have drank it. And I didn't take anything to heat it or boil it or anything like that, because I wasn't supposed to be down there for 3 days. I was only supposed to be down there overnight, and then I got stuck down there. But to the point, though, that when I look back on the different things, and I think to myself, if I accept that when I'm outside and working in my garden, I'm exchanging good energies with Mother Earth, with the sky, with the trees, with the plants in my garden, with the water that I'm watering the garden. For example, the last couple of days, some of the places where I've been digging up trees that moved into my garden from the woods north, actually east, um, uphill. That it was time for me to clean out part of the chicken pen. And chicken manure is one of the best fertilizers you can get, and it's my chickens. I know what I fed them, etc. So I took several bucket loads of chicken manure and spread it into some of this into this new ground and turned it in. Right. So anyway, I'm going through this, and I'm thinking, in the last 2 days, I've gotten more work done, and my energy level has been kind of spotty. Yesterday it was like really hard, and the day before that was just a pain in the neck. Saturday was difficult at best, and yesterday was real choppy, but I still managed to get a few things done. Today I'm like up and around, and got all my tomato plants planted. I got more seeds that are in small containers, so when they come up, I can spread them out. I've watered and fertilized some of my spinach and other greens that are coming up, and my okra that I love so good. Something's been eating my okra, but anyway. But to the point, though, I realized that I've got more energy, and where am I picking it up? Well, I'm not hanging around anybody. I'm hanging around outside. But how I feel about the universe, the more awareness and the connection with the woods and the ground and the universe that I now am more aware of, it has increased my own strength. I don't know how else to explain it. And so am I making progress? I'm making progress, at least in the physical, to where I'm actually doing more than I did 2 years ago. That's hard for me to explain, other than I've just been accepting it, meditating on it, and not for my own cure. What I've said for many people, back about November, December last year, I said, we have to accept these energies. And if we fight them off, it's going to kill us. If we try to fight off these highs and lows, if we try to, let them get to us, we have to allow them to heal us in whatever way we need it. And that the best way is pretend that you're on an inner tube and ride the waves. And sometimes you get a little wet, and sometimes you got to put your legs down and get inside the inner tube because the wave's so big you don't want to topple over. And then there are times you can sit on top of the inner tube, but don't let go of that inner tube. That's your lifeline. But the thing is that, I just consider that. So if I'm feeling a little low or my energy's been sapped out, I just think, okay, wherever I am on that wave, as long as I know I got a hold of that inner tube, I'm safe. So, and I have being retired, that if I sleep for a day, it doesn't bother anybody. There's nobody I need to answer to. So that's good in my case. Now I know it's a bitch for other people, but in this, we need to look at ourselves and say, okay, but how's my awareness doing? Am I being aware of certain things before they happen? And I know, like last week, a lot of people were saying something big's coming, but we don't know what it is. Well, could it have been that Notre Dame caught on fire? Could it have been that a lot of us knew that something big was going to happen? Did you know that there was also a fire in a mosque and also a fire in a Russian cathedral on the same day as Notre Dame? But you don't hear about those. I heard it through the Russian TV and some Russian channels that I subscribe to. And I'm like, what? So, and also Stuart Swerdlow brought it up too on his last report this last Saturday. So, but to the point though, there are things going on all different realms out in space. When you look, if you looked at that Lasco thing just the other day, and I just play it real slow and watch it, something came out of the sun. People are like, "Ooh, that was a big burst." It was a big burst, and I've watched some, solar flares, but whatever came off of the sun the other day, that was some weird stuff. And then when you zoomed in and looked close, you could see this orb coming out. And a lot of us already understand that the sun is a portal, and it connects to other suns and in other universes, mostly in this universe, if you will. But there's been a lot of activity in the sky out there. Out there, I mean, big time activity. Down here in South Georgia, I went outside early morning, about 3 o'clock in the morning, we'll say, Eastern daylight ish, and went outside, and there was a humming, drumming noise that was like real loud, and it was a mechanical noise. Now, I've heard noises before from around here because over towards Meg's there is a big peanut operation with dryers and so forth, and they make a lot of noise. And just down the road a piece um, is Four Corners gin, cotton gin, and in the wintertime when that thing's running, you can hear it's 7 miles away, but you can hear the gin running when they're running full tilt on a clear night. So it was sort of like that, but much louder and coming from Valdosta. It was coming from that direction instead of south. It was coming from the east southeast instead of the west southwest. Anyway, but a really loud drumming, humming noise. And it was like, I don't know what that is, but it was like just roll, 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 roll. At first, I thought it was my ears. And my ears are ringing, but I was like, no, because I could actually feel it. Sometimes I get a little vertigo and I stand up and my ears will pulse for a few minutes, probably high blood pressure, but oh well, what you gonna do? Of course, I don't eat fat and grease and stuff like that. So it's like, and I don't do pork. So um, very rarely chicken. But to the point about the awareness of things, so my awareness of my surroundings now, could I have heard that a year ago? Would I have been in tuned enough to be able to hear whatever that was last night or night before? Night before last. Just saying. I don't know. Observations of other things. I know I've been um, every time I turn around. When I was over in St. George, I saw the same UFO type thing over there, and it was between where the powwow was and where the thunderstorm was that was coming in off the coast of Georgia and Florida, off the Atlantic. And whatever it was twinkling really bright, no other stars but that thing, and it didn't move for almost an hour and a half. So, so there are lots of things that are going on. Would I have noticed any of that before? I don't know. The answer I can say is probably not. I would have went, oh, look at that bright light, but not thought twice about maybe I should observe it longer. Or like the sun coming in the weird window yesterday. That was just bizarre. Wrong time of the year for the sun to be coming through that window. But I'm being aware of my surroundings more and go, wait a minute, it's too early for the sun to come in that window. It's not even May yet. the sun should come through my bay windows in June, not in April, just saying. And so, Delaney, how are you? Wonderful, wonderful to all of you. So the idea of awareness, and it's up to you to make your own assessment. That's a good word. And it's hard because sometimes you might have to gauge it to someone else. And I don't like doing that, especially in a public forum like this. But sometimes I look and I think, well, I've been watching this particular channel for a while, and they seem to be doing a loop again. They're Planet X, da, 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 and then it goes through another loop. They talk about the Anunnaki and blah, 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 and they go back through and blah, blah, blah. And it's like all that information is critical. It's good and everything, but there's nothing new, nothing more to move the spirit journey along on the red road towards the shaman. Repeating the same things over and over really doesn't do much good. Now, I know there are new people waking up all the time. I understand that. And there is a need to do updates. I get that. I understand that. And at the risk of repeating myself, sometimes I won't do a video, even though I'm arguing with my spirit guide in that no, because it's just going to sound like I'm being repetitive. And I really try to stay away from that, although I do. But in the awareness area, it's like, for example, the other day, and I use it now without even really seriously thinking about it. And in the awareness, and I'm going to talk about the third eye for a little while, because I think it's important. And thank you all for dropping in. Life is getting deep. Yes, absolutely. The third eye thing. And I realized that I was working on something the other day, and it was dark. And it was when I was over at St. George at the powwow, and I noticed it, and I was like, I was doing something in the dark without a light because I didn't want to disturb the neighbors that were camped nearby. And I realized that I was actually seeing in the dark with my fingers. And it didn't dawn on me what I was doing until after it was over. And I went, wait a minute. I just did that. Normally I would say, okay, it's dark. I'm going to look in my bag and the pack for something, and I'm going to do this in the dark, and I'm going to use my third eye and poke around in the dark. Usually I have to get into that mode and say, okay, let's do that. That's all there is the awareness of, okay, I'm going to use my third eye and my fingers in the dark to find what I'm looking for without turning on a flashlight. Okay. I realized I was doing it without saying I was going to do it. I just was doing it. And I went, oh, that's interesting. Oh, look. Oh, I know I already know how to do it. But I usually have to tell myself, okay, let's use the third eye. And it was like, ding. Now, I've been doing it for so many years when I'm working on a car and I know there's a bolt up here between the transmission and the bell housing, and you got to take it off and you can't see it. I tell my fingers to do the looking for me. Find the hole, find the nut. And I just close my eyes rather than trying to see where the damn thing is. I just have learned how to allow my fingers to do it. And an old mechanic taught me that years ago. And he was like, and he chewed Red Man chewing tobacco. So he was like, son, ting, what you got to do to let your fingers do it. He can't look up there, I'll swallow some juice. And he goes, besides, he said, if you just let your brain do it. And he's just an old country hick garage mechanic, Some people would call him Shade Tree, but he had his own building and everything and a really nice set of tools, etc. But to the point, he was like, you just got to just trust yourself, son. It's up there, But I can't see it. Well, you ain't got to see it. Well, try this, just put your hand up there and just feel around for a second. He said, and you just think about it in your head. And so, that was in the 70s. you know. And so I've been kind of practicing that for a long time, but now it's like I don't even think about it. It's like I just did. Oh, and something happened just the other night. I was outside in the garden checking on the chickens because I've had something break in my chicken coop here the last 2 weeks now. I haven't lost one in the last week, but I've lost four hens. So I'm out there checking around and going through, and it's dark outside, but I know where my stuff is in the yard. And I realized I was doing something without even looking. Normally, I'm like, okay, I know there's that, step over this to get to the garden and to the chicken pen. I realized I had already gotten there and hadn't gone to I hadn't done my um, conscious turn it on. It's like turning on a flashlight. Here, don't hit the button. Quartz Quantum, just checking in. Hi there. I hope you're doing well, Quartz. My prayers are always out for you and for everybody else. But so I realized that I'm using some of my sixth sense without turning it on ahead of time. Like, okay, I'm going outside. I'm going to use my third eye. Usually that's sort of like what I do. Um, I um, I turn. I consciously decide to use my fingers for looking around corners or whatever it is. It's been bizarre lately. I kind of had a feeling, Quartz. Don't ask me why, but I've sent you personal blast of hope you're okays, just to let you know. Not that I need anything back, but Easter seemed to be Twilight Zone yesterday for me too, as well, Quartz. Um, and I figured it was best to just kind of stay out of whatever religious thing people are going through. But at the same time, have this discussion after Easter to say, okay, where are you in your spiritual journey? Now, I'm not asking you to tell me. I'm saying that you need to just sit down with your own self and go, all right, if you're a Christian, how's your Christian going? Have you helped anybody lately, or are you still being greedy? If you're whatever you want to consider yourself. But are you still being greedy? If have you decided to stop using one item of plastic a day? Have you decided to change anything in your life for the planet Earth? Have you spent any more time outside? Have you done anything else to improve your own spiritual awareness? I hope so. I know that my going down to the river and being in the kayak and that long journey I took last week, I'm like, I worked I worked my butt off in the garden, the last couple of days because I felt guilty about going to the river. But before full moon goes down, I'm uh I'm I'm fixing to go hit the river again. It might be tomorrow because I've got enough stuff already put in the garden right now and watered in that if I did go to the river tomorrow and before it gets too hot, it would the garden would be okay. So anyway, but what I found out though is by allowing myself to go to the nature, even though I walk outside, I'm in nature, dang near in the middle of a swamp. So it's not like I have to go anywhere to get in touch with nature. It's right there, where some people have to work at it a little bit. But I realized that I had not allowed myself to have water. Not water in the sense that I got in it, waded in it. Now it's a little chilly to go swimming yet. I'm a chicken chit for cold water, but tomorrow might be warm enough, and the water might be warm enough to where I could go take a dip and not freeze my little twillies off, But the idea of now that I have the water back in, it's just given me so much more inner peace, so much more inner energy. I've got water again. I'm a water dragon for God's sakes, and I haven't been to water in almost a year. What's wrong with me? And so the flowing water, the energy with the flow, just the whole 9 yards with the all the wildlife and the birds and the herons. And I saw on the power lines two separate nests, and they look like egrets, and which is like really interesting because egrets aren't necessarily. Wait a minute, I might have that wrong. Egret. Nope. There were egrets, but that wasn't a bird. Anyway, they're like a um, more like an eagle. Oh man, I done got my twisted up there. But anyway, but saw two huge nests on some power lines away from each other, like about a half a mile away from each other, within seeing distance. But I've not seen those around this area. So in some ways, I've seen a decrease in some wildlife, but an increase in others. So it's like, well, Mother Nature, she's kind of hammering it back and forth, left and right. I was complaining the other day, week or two ago, especially, no geese. They usually fly through. Well, tonight, honk, 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 there was about 6 or 7 of them flew, I mean, literally treetop level, could have pooed on me. They were so close, kind of deal. And I was like, good. Oh, look, there's the geese. And heading over to this pond nearby that they used to roost in all the time. So there's a change in Mother Nature that it seems like it's leaning a little to the bad side. But then there are other things that I'm noticing that are like it's trying to recover. For example, outside, checking around in my garden, pulling weeds, and I'm noticing these little tiny bees, and they're not honeybees, but they're bumblebees. They are a type, probably more of a wasp, but they're going around fertilizing the different plants. And I'm like, Mother Nature kicked in where the honeybee used to be everywhere around here. But because they changed their crops and so forth, there hasn't been any honeybees. But there are different kinds of wasps, and they seem to be doing what the honeybee used to do. So maybe the squash that I plant this year will actually get fertilized and make a squash. I used to grow squash by the bushel out here, and I haven't had my own fresh squash in 2 or 3 years because they're not getting fertilized. And I've even tried with a Q-tip, and you get some of this and you put it on that, and you can do it with a paper bag and stuff, and to fertilize each of the flowers yourself. But to the point, it used to be like you couldn't stop yellow crookneck from growing around here, man. I mean, it was just big, huge plants with 4, 5, 6 on them a day. I mean, just unbelievable. But there's been a shift, and that I'm discussing now, in that things are changing for sure. So I've been bitching about, and I admit I've been bitching about it, in that some of this stuff has just gotten quite frankly outrageous. And when I was down on the river, below this one bridge, there are still great big huge conglomerations of plastic and things growing in the middle of the river. Trees down, limbs and stuff. Plastic gets caught in the limbs, and next thing you know, it's turned into a floating island of crap. And you gotta kayak by it, or float by it, and it's just all kinds of nasties in it. And it's just, some of them are so big that I've tried to just like, I try to take something around the edge, because there's no way you can get in the middle of this stuff. And sometimes there are water moccasins and things you really don't want to mess with in the middle of these floating debris fields, right? Anyway, but at the same time, some of it's been washed out. Now the bad news is that means it's washed down into Florida. Florida now has all that plastic. It went down into Lake Jackson. So their problem now. But it all this gets flushed downstream. So it's become somebody's problem, and it's still in the environment, in these little secluded places. So these islands of plastic float up in a flood, and and go into these low-lying areas. And then when the water goes down, now where it used to be in the river, it's now up on the shore somewhere in a low spot, and then more leaves get on top of it, and yuck. So but some of it though is like, but there parts of it, like there's a little bit of improvement. And but yeah, there's been a crap full of decline, but I can see where Mother Nature is trying her best to fight back. And I know there are a lot of us praying. Just with our thought process, we have changed our point of view. And instead of thinking that there is no hope, wait a minute, maybe this hopium idea isn't such a bad idea. Maybe we should go back on the hopium, because without hope there is depression. Without hope there is isolation. Without hope there is desperation. And we have got to stay out of that. I don't have any more money than I ever did, but for some reason I'm getting by better now. I'm not worried about it. I pay my basic bills, I go get my basic things, I look around and go, eh. And lo and behold, I had a little extra money last month. So my friend and I went to that powwow and could spend some money with the vendors. But I needed, and by the way, this piece of lapis lazuli I've been wearing for the last 2 weeks, it has greatly helped me, gentlemen and ladies. But I did my homework years ago. In my medicine pouch that's hanging right over there, I've got a couple of pieces of lapis lazuli. And anytime I've ever gotten a chance to, I've always looked for some. And when I found this necklace, uh, 2 weeks ago now, putting it on, it felt cool, like I had like it was ice. And put it around me, and immediately it changed me. And it's been working real well. So I would suggest you guys, man, somehow come up with some lapis, wear it on you, around you, put it next to your skin if you can. It is damn sure a good healer. It's good for women as well. Lapis is a good energy thing. But sometimes it'll absorb so much energy, you got to take it off, soak it in water, put it out in the sunshine. A lot of times, moon, moonlight is what it likes the best. But give it a chance and take it off of you, and let the earth pull some of the energies back out of it. Lapis is a good healer, absolutely. Quartz, absolutely. Um, so in my awareness of all the things I could have picked up when I was at the powwow, for example, you have gifts. You're a healer as well. Blessings. Good for you, Quartz, on the Reiki. Yes, absolutely. I know a form of massage that was taught through the ARE. Edgar Casey taught this gentleman, and I can't remember the doctor's name, but it was in the early 70s, and he taught a particular type of massage. And I learned it. A friend of mine got his degree and then came home and taught it to me, because I was working with handicapped children at the time and providing therapy for them. And I've not seen anybody else do this, the type of massage that I was taught. Just, and not to say that it hasn't been and that nobody knows it, but I've known several masseuses around here. Tallahassee has a 6-month course you can take to get a license. It's actually longer than that, but you can do stuff. And I almost had my license, and I had to drop out because it was too far for me to drive back and forth from Tallahassee. But anyway, um, I still know how to do the massage though. But the idea though that, and it's good that you do, Quartz, and that we can share in this knowledge. Even if I can't do it, I can help to explain to someone else and still be a teacher. But with that said, though, in our awareness of things, though, are we aware anymore of the universe of things? I know since I've been speaking about the quantum, I've been aware of it for a long time. But since I started speaking about the quantum entanglement, the spiritual universe, the 3D universe, the, you know, the spider matrix versus the digital matrix, the difference between them, um, and that, you know, I choose to come on here, have a chat with Bob, do a video, and then I don't partake in the digital, except to do whatever um, Watchman type things, looking at the things like that. Um, yeah, why else is my name Quartz Quantum? I got it. I got it, Quartz. I do. But the idea, though, that by speaking about it, though, it has connected me, is where I was trying to head with that. The more that I spoke about it and the more I interacted to speak about it, I increased my connection with my own spirit guide, or with who, yeah, my angel guide. And so it's like, it was really, I had a good connection before, but simply by discussing it, it, I was able to, I can tell that that awareness factor of that spirit guide message thing from the quantum is more clear. Now, is that because we're in a different part of the universe, all these other cosmic energies? There are a lot of other things that are going on other than that. But from a spiritual point of view, I look at it and I go, I seem to be more in tune with my own self. Now there are still a lot of closets that got closed due to all those seizures they gave me, and with all the medicine and things. So I still have some issues up here with trying to access certain things that used to be like in my brain just right out. But I can feel that it's starting to ease off. I can tell, it's a really difficult to explain, but I can tell that I'm starting to like make the connections again. Whatever they did to me to make me drool and slobber and turn me into a zombie, I'm now finally starting to be able to access those recesses that got shut down so hard, so fast, and so quickly. Um, and they're starting to open back up. So in my awareness of all things, but it's been through the nature. It's been because I've went out and got on the water and floated for a couple of days and interacted with the universe. It's because I have went to the river and done ceremonies for the beings that were there, that are there, and to the water spirits. I feel that all of this, I did something positive, literally, by walking, dancing, and drumming. I literally did something physical, which was nothing more than a prayer for peace. But from that, I've gotten all these other things back, I feel. Didn't ask for it. I mean, Creator says, accept and receive, you know, let it do its work. So I'm accepting and receiving as best I can. And I feel that we're making progress because I notice certain things that people just aren't getting riled up about like they did, 6 months ago. And oh my God, 2 years ago, a lot of people are kind of quieted down. And I say that's a good thing, but they're still paying attention. It's just that instead of sending 10 memes about something, they'll just send one. to let everybody know I can see this. I see this, creepy Joe. Like, yeah, we see you, creepy Joe. And so that's all I'm going to, I see you, rather than meme after comment after crap after this. Nah, all we got to do is just remind you, I see him out there. He's still there. We see you. And that awareness right there is all we need to do, because it keeps that quantum thought up here, out there. It keeps, I like to think of it as it's a reinforcement. So if I send out a prayer, all right, my sister is sick and she needs an operation on her hip, and I don't know this, but I'm just saying she needs help with her hip. I'm going to send her a prayer. Well, I send her a really hard, healing bump of boosted of energy. But then on a daily basis, I'll say, boom, keep that healing going. So I'll spend 5 or 10 seconds and just keep that healing going, and then I'll go on about my business, keep that healing going. Later on in the day, keep that healing going. Do 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 do. But I'm not dwelling on it. I just send a little ding, keep it going, ding, keep it going, ding. And so in other things, I am the same way. So when I say I'm in constant prayer for peace on the planet, I'm not joking, because it's gotten to the point where now, especially with my hermit self down here in the woods, I can stay in tune. So I'm always at peace. If I allow something to piss me off, it's because I read it on the internet, or whatever. But at the same time, I choose to allow my emotions to get away with me, which I can tell I don't. It doesn't bother me near as much. I still got my eye on these creepies. I still see what them sons of bitches are doing, but I'm not upset. But if you don't think I could you don't think I could pull some anger out if I didn't need to? Yeah, but the point is that it's all in check. I have control of it now, where before they were controlling my own chaos and I had to pull out of it. So the more we stay out of their chaos, keep an eye on it, but the more we stay out of it, the safer we are. And I absolutely feel safer within my own self now than quite than I have in quite a while. Now there are a lot of blue meanies out there, and I'm speaking of negative energies and stuff. There's still a lot of weird stuff out there, and we need to keep our own energies up. And we do that by keeping, I'm repeating myself, yes, by keeping our core values stable. We keep our energies good within us. We only put out what we need to. We stay focused on those things that will keep us, our energies clean and our soul strong. When we let ourselves get leached out in crazy places, all it does is drain our energy and makes us really good targets for the nasties. And the more that I don't allow my energy to go out in these areas, the less opportunities my own energy has of getting attacked from something on out there. Ooh, look, he's pissed off. I'm going to follow this trail back and nail Hawkeye. If I don't leave a trail, they can't come and find me. I mean, it's harder for them to find if you follow my drift. But so with that, it is good for you to sit down and do your own checklist. Try to be careful and not compare yourself to someone else. Compare your own self. Look at where you were 6 months ago and ask the question, have I improved my own spiritual awareness? Do I even give a shit? I mean, there are some people, well, I'm working on it, but, I've been busy doing it. Okay, fine. But to the point, though, you can't complain to me or to anybody else that, well, nobody showed me how to do this. Well, we gave you all the tools to practice it. We gave you all the ways, and we've tried to show you different ways of looking at energies and the universe. Have you practiced them? Well, no, I did. Well, I thought it was kind of silly. Well, then, o- okay, that's your choice. That's your choice, obviously. But then if you don't feel like you're making any progress, then don't complain, because we have given, not just me, but other people are giving out good information to try to help all of us to see the spiritual world better, to keep our souls clear, straight, and in tune as best as we possibly can. We support each other like Quartz and Michelle and Breaking Dawn, and I don't know who else is on. But to the point though, the more we continue to support each other just by a positive thought to each one of you. And so it's like it keeps the grid up, and the grid's getting stronger because we're feeling that, you know what, this thinking in the positive really does work. That idea of The Secret years ago, when they went through that, the secret is that if you speak in the positive and stay as much in the positive, then you will reap those benefits. It's a secret. Oh yeah, but there's a lot of good magic in it. A lot of natural earth energy magic that you don't have to conjure up and say anything special about. You just do it. But with that said, it's up to us to make the choice. And I say, I've seen folks getting better. I'm saying I feel a difference in the cosmos. I'm saying I can hear the difference in how people are writing in chat rooms. I just pop into just to see how people are talking to one another. The trolls aren't as nasty. People aren't reacting to the trolls like they did, especially 3, 4, 5 years ago. Now it's like, troll, go away. Troll, blah, blah, blah. And people just, we don't react at all now. So have we become hardened, or have we become more aware that they're sucking the life juice out of us and we refuse to participate? That's what I want. I think we're choosing not to participate in their funky ass games. We've learned it. We're learning. We are continuing to learn because they keep trying to change the parameters around. So we got to stay, kind of sort of. I played linebacker in high school football. I love to play linebacker because you could you standing on 2 feet and you left, right, and you watch the ball, see where the quarterback's going, and react real quick. Where if you're down on the ground, your head's you can't see anything but right there. Anyway, so I look at life as like, but I'm a linebacker on defense, because these buttholes are twice as big as us, and they're heading for us, and they're trying to win the game. But we're a scrappy bunch on this side, if you will, and we're light on our feet. So, but we got to understand that they've got a plan of action. We don't know what it is, so we got to stay light on our feet, because if they decide to do it, to do a reverse, and you see the ball go that way, and you react, and next thing you know, the ball's going the opposite direction. Whoa, you got to pay attention to fake backs and things like that. Yes, I'm using a football analogy, but the thing is, about the time we think we got them, well, they just pulled a reverse on us, or what in football they call a trap. Not the same as a reverse, but anyway. But so here we are with this. We got to stay light on our feet. We got to stay aware of what's going on. But when we keep ourselves out of that emotional part, when we stay out of their chaos, they're losing. They're having fits. I'm just every day there's something else pops up in the news that's being a little weird. Like these people they're screaming, trying to hold on to something. And for every time I go to town, there's supposed to be all these hateful people. And I go into town, it's like they're nicer than what I remember. And it's always been fair to middle around down here, down in the South. Blacks and whites and Mexicans, we all get along. You got to be in the wrong side of town. I mean, seriously. Um, but even the wrong side of town ain't so wrong anymore. I mean, even the wrong side of town don't want to be wrong. They want to fix it up themselves. Now, there's still some poverty areas in these small towns, and one could say they're inner city in that they're more condensed into the inner city part of the cities, both in Thomasville and Moultrie. Uh, but um, it's just old housing, and people have moved, out towards the edges. That's all it is. Anyway, but with that said, I see a difference. I can feel a difference. And it's not as bad as these crazy people talk about. Now, on that higher level with like them in the chemtrail planes, what they're trying to do with other types of things, that's that's kind of out of our realm of being able to actively get our fingers on, you know what I mean? But we can stay active in that we're going to keep an eye on them SOBs. And if they get out of hand, we need to jump on it. And however that means, with memes, with emails, with chatter on the internet, or maybe we need to get together and go hog tie somebody to keep them from doing something stupid. Who knows? We'll see. Now, I do not like violence in any way, but hog tying somebody to keep them from hurting somebody else, well, we'll get our lassos out and say, all right, if you got to be an idiot, then we're just going to tie your ass up until you calm down, or until somebody can come and take you away. But you ain't going to hurt no more of us. How about that one? So I'm all for hog tying a few of these idiots up until until such time as the proper authorities would take care of them. And there's some really good signs that by the end of this year, there's going to be some there's going to be some perp walks. So understand there are millions of people involved in some of this stuff. And for those of us, I'm one, but oh man, about the turn of the first of the year, they were telling me, I say my higher self spoke, and they were saying, you got to be patient. Some of this stuff, as much as we all want it to happen tomorrow, it takes time. There's too many people involved in order for some of these things to go down right. But things are working in the right way. Not all things and not everybody, but things are working. And if you look around and between the lines, you can see that there is progress being made. So we must continue what we're doing. We've got to. If we give up on our end, man, well, there you go. But by staying out of their mess, staying positive in our own quantum, you too, Quartz, we're keeping that energy up. And their attacks just aren't working the way they used to. And they're still trying. So we'll see. I say, good job, everybody. We need to keep up the good work. We need to keep patting each other on the back for the smallest little bits of awareness that we achieve. If you know somebody who's like kind of falling off the wagon, like, well, I don't know if I really want to work on it. Listen, all you got to do is just have a positive thought. It's not like you got to go out and do ceremonies every night no, just have a positive thought for God's sakes and stay in that positive and work around the negative. Yeah, I still have negative crap hit me, but the point is how I look at it now is totally different. How I don't does my blood pressure go up and I want to fight somebody? No. I can tell that guy's still in me somewhere, but we had to give him a sedative. That the anger Dave had to, we had to give him some Seconal, knock him on his butt, give him a red, man, if old hippie reference to, have you ever done any reds, man? Yeah, I have. But anyway, so that's pretty much what I wanted to put out about this, and to say that keep up the good work. We are making a difference. And for those folks who want to say, pooey on hopium, remember, I'll repeat this again because it needs it. Hopium leads to oppression, depression. And which would you rather have? I'd rather have a sliver of hope than a garbage full of depression and oppression. Just saying. So I love you all. I do. I do. Keep it between the ditches, and it's all right. And I'm getting a message now. Everyone, it's fine for you to sit down and ask your guardian angel, how am I doing? In a non-narcissistic way, like, oh, look at me, I can speak in tongues now, I can, nah, ain't going there. Let's just say, how's your awareness doing? You need a good self check. You need to be honest, but use some things that you know that you needed work on, and then go back over it and look and go, am I better or worse than I was 6 months ago? And if the answer is better at all, this isn't how much, it's that it is, are you better? Is it better? Are you better? Is the situation, is our, yeah, are you better? It just 1%, you know? And if so, it's like, that's a pat on the back. That's an attaboy, or atta girl, or atta us. And something I want to bring up here at the end of this little thing. Um, one of the some of these channels put up these things. I just have to like be the grown up in the room. It was like the title was something similar to like how to learn how to become human beings, how to become a human, how to become human in the human race, or something like that. And I was like, what? Whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a minute. Now you're telling us we're not human? So now we have to take the course? How to become human in the human race? Or was something like that. And I was like, are you serious? What we need to learn is we're already human. We need to realize, duh. And with being human comes these other things. Our spiritualness. You want me to learn how to become human? No, I want to. I want to learn how to quit being an SOB butthole that the cabal wants me to be. I have to unlearn the society, but how to learn how to be human, we already are, I just find it this oxymoronic kind of thing. And they bring up these subjects like, did you really think about the title of that? And if the subject you wish to talk about is any indication to what's in the title of your video there, I'm just going to have to sit here and chuckle, because it doesn't make any sense. You know, we are human beings. We need to understand that we are and what our role is as a human being. So is that learning to become a human? Or is that the awareness that we already are? And if we become aware, oh my God, I'm a human being. And with that human being also comes the responsibility of being a human being to other human beings. But do I have to learn how to be a human being? I think you get what I'm talking about. But anyway, I see it more as an awareness. Yeah, let's just be aware. Are you okay? Just not nothing bad about monkeys, but are you a monkey? Are you an orangutan? Are you a chimpanzee? No. Okay. I know with my hair and everything, I'm borderline. But I don't have a prehensile tail. And anyway, but I do love bananas. But so yes, I might mimic monkey traits, but am I? No, because there are certain things that human beings do that monkeys just don't have a clue about. Dogs have more empathy. Pigs have more empathy in certain ways than monkeys do. But to the point, though, those are animals and they're not humans. Well, I'm not a pig. I'm not a monkey. I'm not a dog. Although I'm hairy, okie dokie, fine. But I could be feline as well, and I'm not. But so that puts me in the category if I must be a human something in that category. So I mean, all I got to do is look at myself in the mirror and go, human, you know. So now, next thing, do I have to learn how to be it? Well, I gotta learn how to be a human being. Go wait a minute.
I better put some makeup on. I got blemishes under my eyes there. That's the old people get these sacks like this.
Anyway, I'm picking, but to the point though, uh, it it just sound it just sounds ridiculous to me how some of these folks are trying to, I don't know, just spout words to spout them, I guess, and there's no real meaning. Well, it's almost like double talk, Oh, well, you're the light of the Jesus and the thing, or it's all the same, And once you see it, it's there. Wait a minute, what did he just say? Kind of double jabble, what, huh? Okay, double speak, double talk. I love you all, I do. Um, yeah. Have you been? Oh, how have you been? I know that offends. Wait a minute, I'm sorry for eating animals. I'm not really sorry for eating animals. I mean, in that, I don't have to have animals. I realize that there are a lot of things that I can eat and make that, um, if I use the right types of vegetables, I can make a spaghetti stew kind of deal that, unless you were looking for meatballs, you wouldn't know the sauce and the way it tastes doesn't taste vegan at all. But instead of getting a piece of meat, you might end up with a piece of broccoli or cauliflower, but it will have the flavor of the sauce. But anyway, so I don't feel like I've given anything up because I don't have ground beef in my spaghetti sauce over noodles. Just saying. If everyone stops eating animals, then what? Um, I agree. And there's certain types of protein. Now, the argument is, and if I quit eating chicken years ago because of all these chicken farms down here where I live. If you saw how these chickens were raised, and the gentleman I went kayaking with a week ago, I was like, so how them chicken barns going? He goes, man, he goes, he said, I just won't eat another chicken. He said, we just cleaned out another barn. And he said, God dog, he said, I just won't eat chicken anymore. And he said, if people saw how these chickens were raised and sent to the slaughterhouse and everything and how they're caged and all, he said, you just wouldn't eat. And what they look like, because they breed these chickens for their breast and they're a cross, they look like a cross between a turkey, a duck, and a weird chicken. And they waddle. They don't even walk. They waddle. They don't even make noises like chickens. They're really creepy and strange. And so the idea of eating meat is one thing, but if you saw how some of these things were raised, you wouldn't. You just wouldn't. If people really knew what them chicken nuggets were coming from, just wouldn't. And all of the antibiotics and the things and all the stuff that goes in the feed. I mean, they're 20% of a chicken's feed. And I quit using chicken feed. I use horse feed to feed my chickens with. It's actually cheaper and my chickens are healthier. They've lasted longer. But in chicken feed, up to 25 to 30% of the what's in the chicken feed is dead chicken, either in feathers, beaks, claws, something. They're eating their brothers and sisters who had all those whatever chemicals put in them because they grow them. They can't move. They just sit in their face and eat. They don't even move. They poo in the same place. They don't wash it out. They wait until they take all the chickens out of the barn and then they just scrape dead birds, feathers, rotten. It's horrible. And if you want to eat chicken, you just go right ahead. But now it's a cow's a cow. Yes, you can raise cows in a feedlot close together, But I've been around feedlots, not the same as these chicken houses. These chickens don't look like chickens. So I'm gonna stick with the cow. I've never been one much for pork, but now for fish and things like that, what I can catch around here, locals have given me deer meat over the years. Um, I hope all the factory farms get closed down for good. Listen, they can do it better. They just choose not to because it's all about economics. But um, and if folks were to complain a little bit and say, "Wait a minute, there are better ways to do this," they just refuse not to. I mean, and I'm going to do a separate video on this. It might get taken down, but I've done some more research about the chicken manure that's piling up here in this county and neighboring counties. 800,000 tons of chicken shit, dead chickens, feathers, 800 tons per year around here. 800 tons of shit. And they're just spreading it on the ground. People are complaining. And they moved out of Arkansas and southern Missouri because they couldn't turn it into the soil right. Now people around here are getting sick. They're getting the smell. They don't know what's going on. It's showing up in the rivers, and all of the wildlife has changed. EPA's been keeping an eye on them, but we haven't heard anything from them. But they're watching. But now the chicken production has almost doubled in the last 3 years down here. So we now have a full 800 tons of shit per year just in 2 counties. Think about that. Oh my God. So, but anyway, love to anyway. Love, love, love. Yeah, that was a sellout. We had a guy that moved into Moultrie and became a state senator. And he was the guy that negotiated with it for Tyson Farms and some of them guys, some of them big chicken places. Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, most of the people around here got jobs and so forth from it. So it's hard to say that it's bad on the economy. It's one reason why this county down here is doing something. But what they're doing with the poop or not doing with it, that's it's criminal. So we'll see. But at least they're starting to become aware. The tide's turning. We'll see. So anyway, closing prayer as always. I continue to pray for each and every one of you that you will continue to accept and receive the healings, the blessings, the wisdom, and the generosity of the universe. I continue to pray that each and every one of you, your friends, your family, your relatives, and all of your relations will continue to share, explore, accept, and receive the energies from the universe, the healing, the wisdom, and all the knowledge. I continue to pray that each and every one of you will continue to accept, receive, and accept and give to other people and share that energy with other people. Keep it up, people. We are making a difference. And it may take a little more time, but where the revelations is here, the veil is coming up, the curtain is up, people are seeing what's going on in the background, and more people are becoming aware and saying, you know what, we still have a chance here. We can't give up. So, with love, Michelle Quartz, it's good to see you back around again. I'm always sending love to you, Quartz, Michelle, and all y'all out there. So, from Southwest Georgia, I am your humble servant, Mr. Hawkeye Two Feathers, also known as David Null. And from Southwest Georgia down here in the swamp, I say TTFN, ta ta for down, my friends and fellow workers and fellow members of the League of Like Minded Beings. Peace out.